Good morning. So, am I predicting the end of the world? Yes, I am. Because Jesus said the end of the world is coming. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly when it's coming. I can't give you the day or the hour because Jesus said we don't know it. But I can give you the general era. I can give you the generation that the end is going to come. Now, Watchtower has made a mockery of Jesus' words by their overlapping generation idea, the reason being that they haven't looked at the scriptures carefully enough. So I want to do this morning. Now, I've done this before, but it seems important because there's still this idea that Jesus' words about the generation are not important. They are very important. As we read in Matthew 24 and verse 35, he said, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away." Now we know that heaven and earth is going to go on forever. So Jesus' words are more certain than that. So let's look at it carefully. Matthew 24 and verse 7. In the last days, Jesus said that there would be nations and kingdoms against each other. There would be famines, earthquakes, pestilences, and so on. But that was only the beginning of these things. So, in the First and Second World Wars, you had the most horrendous conditions. Millions died in the wars. More millions died with the Spanish flu and so on. But Jesus said those awful things were only the beginning. It was going to get worse. And he said other things would happen. That in verse 12 of Matthew 24, lawlessness will be increased, and therefore the love of many would grow cold. Also, he said that the gospel of the kingdom would be preached around the world, and then the end would come. In Luke chapter 21, Jesus gave us other signs to look out for in verses 25-26. He talked about signs in the sun, moon and stars, and people worried about the roaring of the sea and its waves, people fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world. Now, keep all those signs in mind, because I'm now going to go back to Matthew 24 and verse 32, because Jesus said here, "From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also when you see all these things, know that he is near at the gates. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place." Now, if you lived during the First and Second World Wars, there were a lot of things that you wouldn't have seen that were needed to be seen for the generation to see all things. So we have a beginning of the last days in the First and Second World Wars. Then we have to look out for all these other signs that the generation has to see to be the generation that would see the end of the world. And what were those things? Well, here's a list. There would be an increasing in lawlessness. Now, we've seen crime increase dreadfully because of the availability of drugs. We've also seen a change in the moral climate. People have given up on God because of the wickedness and the crime. We've also seen epidemics in the form of AIDS and COVID and other awful things. And then we have, from the 80s onward, we have global change climate, global warming. Now that is far worse than the governments would like us to know about. Jesus said, Luke 21 and verse 25, people would be in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and its waves. Now that has literally come true. Island nations are having to move because of sea level rise. Big cities are under threat. People are worried about what is coming upon the planet. So the generation that saw the First World War is not the generation that would see the end of the world. It's not the generation that would see all things. The First World War was awful, but it was only the beginning of things getting so bad. So when can we place this generation? Possibly 60s, 70s, 80s. You must decide to see which generation would see everything that Jesus predicted would happen. His words must come true. They are very certain. So I'll leave you with that thought. The end of the world is coming, and God is going to save us through this difficult time to see a wonderful world, God's kingdom coming, and the end of all troubles. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all.